Hello everyone, it's your favorite FGC VTuber. On today's topic, I don't understand why a lot of companies want to make fighting games. One, they ain't profitable. Well, two, it's hard to make mainstream. Three, the FGC is extremely picky. Four, the FGC is also broke most of the time, myself included. It's weird they were getting things like 2xKO or Tokon. Just a shower thought I had waking up. So, when I first seen this, I mean, I even retweeted it. Feel free to check out Twitter, greatestgamers.com. He's right, you know. So, there's a lot I do agree with. I feel like there is one aspect I don't completely agree with, but I want to kind of hear the first comment and then get some ideas, right? I genuinely believe that if any developer made a fighting game with an actual good monetization scheme, real single-player modes that play, yes, over and over, the tutorials actually engages different functions, that it could be the biggest. Oh, that's actually, yeah. I love how we all are in agreement at this point. Love certain aspects of the FGC. Free to play, yeah, right. That's the main thing. Yeah, I think free to play is actually another really huge factor for that case, right? Riot knows clearly, even though their games are shit, that it's kind of the way to go if you want to get bigger. Even though Riot Games in general doesn't really have a popular game, it's really weird. But Fortnite's a bigger example, anyways. Feels like you need to expand on number one of those. That's the big three. I mean, I'm not complaining, makes me very happy, but as a business, I'm not sure what they are seeing. Right, literally. So, here's my theory, honestly. Oh, why they mean is ain't profitable? So, let's get this big one out the way, right? Why number one is true, but not as... There's the big three. Like, basically, every fighting game but the big three is niche. This is a fact. We all fucking know it. You know, back in the day, okay, you know, Soul Calibur, whatever, right? Like, semi... But the heyday's over. Like, fighting games largely as a draw. Like, here's the better way to put it. Why I feel like fighting games have lost their super mainstream appeal. I think fighting games in general, and some of them are still iconic and mainstream in a sense. Like, who doesn't know who Ryu is? Who doesn't know who Scorpion is? Kind of thing, right? But it still goes to the point, unless you're part of the original big three, maybe four. Like, people definitely still know Soul Calibur, but it never reached the status of even something like Tekken, right? You know, so the big three would be like Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Street Fighter. Those are the big three. You know, everything else is like, okay, whatever thing you grew up with, and if you're a boomer, right? Because most Zoomers outside of Ryu don't really know, or Scorpion, they don't know who the fuck anyone else is. It's just straight up the way it is, right? And that's what really matters, is that people who know what these things are dying and eventually will become a minority. And these mainstream big three aren't doing the best job at being relevant outside of maybe Street Fighter, and even then they're only doing so good. I mean, they're doing, like I said, main campaign, modern one have been the biggest drives. Their marketing too, but just again, it could be better. But the main thing is, outside of those three, you're not profitable. Why? Because you're a niche. Like, you're straight up a niche. And I think the reason why some companies may not realize it is, one, they're all like us. They don't realize it's niche. So that's the first thing. Second, I think they think that it's easy to just make a fighting game and then profit off of it. And I think this goes into what I want to kind of loop back onto how fighting games kind of became not mainstream in a sense. Like, generally, the genre itself, not the big three, is because of the fact, much like this happened with the PS1. The second PS1 came, everyone's like, oh, 2D's outdated, this, that. And we still have that mindset to this day. Like, good example, even for me, right? You see 2D immediately, you're like, that's worthless. That is not the same value as a 3D game. And that's the same thing that happened with fighting games. And fighting games are born within this era. They adapted by going 2.5D, which helped a lot. But by the time we went to the PS3 era, and even PS4, arguably more so, full 3D became more of the thing. A great example to show is Naruto Storm. Granted, we had things like Budokai Tenkaichi, right? And that mainly popped off Dragon Ball this and that, but I feel like it didn't become super, and it was only mainly seen as like a Dragon Ball thing. But especially such a huge IP like Naruto. And kind of solidified, going from the 2D series that had was the Ultimate Ninja series, and then going into the Ultimate Ninja Storm, and heck, even the Wii fighting game one. Like, oh my god, this is so much cooler. Like, in your mind, even though back then I didn't realize it, right? Like, there was actually a bit more depth with the older ones, and I did notice a bit even with the fighting game one, the Wii one, is that, oh, okay, you just, your brain just automatically wants the thing that's more advanced, more immersive, this and that. And the inherent thing is that fighting games are kind of like the tank controls for fighting games, right? Or just fighters in general, right? Like, most people literally, like, especially see it in Zoomers a lot, right? They will look at it and be like, oh, why can't I move? You know, they'll think, oh, why can't I fully move 3D, whatever. They want to have the camera behind the shoulder kind of shit. They look at that as outdated. If people talk about motion inputs, dude, just the way it looks as outdated. So to most people, unless it's really super fucking appealing, and again, they literally look at it more as a side scroller. Like, we even have people who are like, oh, there's a side scroller fighter, this, that, whatever. You know, it sadly gets loved in the same category for some people who don't even know and even like a brawl or something. Then those who do know, like, okay, it's only seen barely above those, right? Because of the super popularity that, you know, again, Street Fighter was a fucking huge deal back in the day, right? A lot of it, I feel like Mortal Kombat is still semi-relevant to an extent. Again, they're good marketing and their relevance within the market, but yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing too. I mean, the thing they literally, the companies will look at Mortal Kombat. They come from that era, and everyone they know knows who's Ryu and whatever it is, and they're like, oh man, because it's a 2D like a platform, easy, not realizing that you think, oh, you know, there's depths, combos, and that's the funny thing too. Like, fighting games are one of the best genres. Is their depth is immense, absolutely fucking insane. Like, when I first got into it, like, the concept of having to practice for a single move was mind blowing to me. You know, I was like, holy shit, this is like a fucking sport. You know. But, I mean, that to me is why, like, again, I guess it tackles both, right? And how, in the sense, it is hard to make mainstream. And to be, fundamentally, you have to entirely change what we think of as fighting games for the most part. And it honestly starts with the visuals. Mortal Kombat, by having a pseudo-realistic kind of look, it's the same thing why Street Fighter kind of started going towards that look, right? I mean, you can still have an artistic look in this. I mean, again, Street Fighter 6 did it best, right? While still having a sort of realism aspect to it, right? I think Street Fighter 6 did the best of both worlds. And that's where you really have to go. Or you could be super. I mean, KOF series, you know, I call them all KOF, SNK. They're doing an amazing job, and even with the marketing. But I mean, it's like shit. It's an overcrowded market at this point within a genre that kind of just, I don't know, man. Like, to me, it's kind of, there's so many things. Okay, they are doing it, but they're not doing it quite, and that's weird. At this point, it's kind of to a point where, and the stigma of it being hard, kind of like Souls games too, has not helped. So, we're at a point where it is hard. You can play all your cards right, and you're still not even guaranteed success. But to me, the best way is, I mean, this is why I'm a developer for fighting games. I'm not going to say much. We really do need to shake up that fundamentally changes the way fighting games are. That's the only way we'll really have anything happening. Whereas profitability, what I think is this is the final one. What I do think that it is probably, and they're not completely wrong, is if you can tap into that market, let's say the big three. Oh no, your fan base is very profitable. So they say the FGC is broke. Like, they are. But here's the thing. They'll buy your game at 60, and for as much as some people might bitch, oh, DLC, they will put out money. Like, you have no idea. Like, they're definitely profitable. Like, the amount they'll pay for a character, fucking outfits. Dude, Street Fighter, I think Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter are the best examples. Far more than even the other ones, even Tekken. Because Tekken, you can just buy the game and you're good and it sells well. But, bro, the amount of people, the amount of, like, even though I would say for every 10 COD players, there's one Street Fighter player, those guys, I mean, granted, COD's not a good example because they're like Street Fighter players on steroids. You know, most other games, they don't invest the kind of money like fighting game players do. And the reason why I would say that most are broke is, like, bro, they'll put money into the game itself, and then they struggle to go to, like, locals, because that's even more expensive. At the end of the way, oh, okay, let me spend $100 to go to this local, this, that, food, whatever. That's what you're in your mind, but, oh, I can spend $100 on all this DLC stuff, and you get to keep it for life. Whereas that's like, oh, one day, you know? So I would say to invest in the esports, I think it's very... I think investing into esports is definitely not profitable, especially not at this state. But I think if you can have a successful fighting game with monetization that vibes with the fan base, a good example, Tekken's monetization is terrible. That's why it's not doing good. Oh, it's 100% profitable. But good luck being part of the big three. Strive, I think, became profitable after its launch. After that, it wasn't paying off. People were not buying no more DLCs or season passes. So now they're investing all this effort. You know, they kind of, you know, throw the baby with the bathwater kind of thing. They already invested so much time and everything. I mean, heck, I have the season pass. I didn't play barely any of the new characters. So they're starting, I guarantee you, they start showing, oh, most people only played one character from the season pass, or maybe even bought one character without buying the season pass. And they already invested all this time and money on these new characters. And even this deal, let's say with Cyberpunk, how much money you want to bet? It cost them a lot of money to get that deal. And now no one gives a shit about Season 2 at all. No one's even playing it. No one, more people aren't buying it. Like, it just dead in the water. Whereas with Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, people are still buying it now and getting into that shit. And that, mind you, I would say Strive is the best example of a recent fighting game popping off into a second mainstream phase, right? Like, anime people would know it, streamers know it. And I think 2XKO at the end of the day, they kind of already seen that they want to be part of the big three. I think they have the most, they see it. And to them, it's because they haven't experienced it. They see a market opening. I understand from a business perspective if someone wants to do a business themselves. So I think out of all the people, 2XKO makes the most sense from, I know it's not going to pop off and they're already fucked up. They're doing things wrong. It's too long. You just can't do that. But the FGC is extremely picky. Okay, I mean, the fact that I'm going off this long and I want to talk about kind of should show you, yeah, no, we're very picky. I mean, heck, no, like speaking for me, and I was like this too, and I still am to an extent. once you kind of figure out what your groove is, are you an anime player, are you a footsies guy, or are you a 3D guy? Then you're mainly gonna stick with that shit, you know. With most people, like let's see, general FGC players, they'll fuck with everything, right? But it's like the core FGC, your most profitable dudes that are definitely picky. And look, there was a time where if it wasn't Capcom, some people wouldn't even fuck with it. Granted, we're kind of past that era, but even then, I mean, good example, Idol Showdown. They know how picky fighting game players can be. Like basically, if your game doesn't have like just isn't saucy with its combos, doesn't have good neutral, or it's too broken, people will, I mean, right now, like people won't fuck with it. I mean, right now, the fighting game, I did a video about it, the Blazing Strike. Yeah, like I said, if your game just takes too long and like you hype it and it takes too long, boom, dies. It doesn't even matter, it just dies. DNF Duo died, you know, like sometimes it can be a certain thing, right? Like you know, DNF Duo, touch of death ass game. There's plenty of those. How come the other ones popped off and didn't? Oh yeah, it's like sometimes it's just random, like, but they're definitely picky. To say the FGC is not picky is a bit of an understatement, right? And even the people who try to casually get into fighting games, bro, they're even pickier. You know, I know a dude who will play Dragon Ball FighterZ, but he won't really fuck with anything else, right? Like, so both from a normie, like, I feel like once you're into fighting games, you're not as picky, like, if you're the general audience, but if you're, like, really into fighting games, or you're the normie, oh, no, dude. This is the realest shit on earth, man. Like, some people are like, oh, man, I want a game like Mortal Kombat. I wanted to have gore. Oh, I want to have a block button. I mean, heck, to me, personally, I've gotten to the point, like, my biggest I can't stand block buttons. I can't fucking stand them, bro. You know? There's certain, like, I can't stand Grand Blue, like even within the normal space, there are things you want to tolerate. Like, I would say pretty much 90% of the people don't tolerate infinites, right? Oh, they don't tolerate this or certain visual looks. But yeah, no, extremely picky. Yeah, so that's the other thing. It's gonna be hard to get to the profitable / mainstream when the core of your audience is already just fucking picky, right? So you don't know what you can get. But yeah, Idol Showdown happened to strike the right vibes. I mean, to me, I like it, but it's definitely not like my top tier indie fighter or like low fighter. You know, it's just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, I wish it was more anime. I wish you could like air dash. That's my biggest complaint personally. But yeah, no, and that's really it. Like I said, I would definitely say anyone who like, and here's the funny thing too. Basically, people outside of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat are broke. Everyone else, not so much. Or, no, like, cause like anime players are definitely broke. No, anime players are broke, bro. Like, so I guess really like, and that's the thing, man. The FGC is a very big, vast, you know, diverse community. But when you talk about some of the core members, it's like, okay, yeah, and that's what really distracts you. You see the glamour and whatnot. But those are my actual thoughts. But for the most part, it's funny. I'm kind of disproving some of the things he's saying in a sense. But largely, nah, this is just a good way to look at, especially right now in the current year of like near 2025. This is the current state of the FGC. I mean, a lot of people aren't. But to me, like I said, the number one thing why I think companies even try is genuinely they think it's easy to make a fighting game and profit. When in fact, it's one of the hardest genres to make, period. And then here's the thing with I think being picky too is that with other games, you could get away with slop. Good example, look at the FPS community, right? Like, you know, Battlefield 6 has already got hacks. All the thing fucking basically crashes fucking computers. If your fighting game, one character can be off, or one character have one frame of animation off, yo, this shit's trash. Fighting game players know their shit far more than any other genre. And they have less tolerance for bullshit than other ones. First of all, your FPS has to be locked as fuck. The game cannot look like shit, period. Think about it. It's already, like, considered a relic because it's 2D. Your shit doesn't even pop artistically or graphically. That shit's garbage. That shit's old. You know, visuals fucking matter in a fighting game far more than anyone realizes. And on top of that, your gameplay has to be immaculate. You have to have the game be as execution heavy, as fluid, and as well animated and combo oriented as Devil May Cry, fucking Metal Gear Revengeance, Neo. Like, think of some of the most you know, acclaimed anything, right? And have the style like, oh, like Dragon Ball, Naruto, Batman Arkham series. You have to be above their level. If it's anything below, don't fuck with that shit. Like, if you have literally a fighting game with absolutely no depth, no one's touching that shit. For sure. And again, back to the companies is they think that it's like, oh man, we'll just make it like you know, best example, like Arena Fighters. They think you could slop this shit out like Arena Fighters. And they're like, oh my god. You know, some people are like, oh, let's not make Arena Fighters, even though casually it appeals more and might make initial more money, but people do not stick around because those games have absolutely no depth. But they're like, oh man, more people stick around. Look at these, there's tournaments for fucking Street Fighter, but not fucking insert shady random anime 554 that has a fucking anime fighter. Not realizing that, dude, they're 10 times harder to make than an Arena Fighter ever could be. Like, no, you have, You have to know your shit, and good luck. And again, they don't realize is that good luck finding someone that knows how to make a fucking fighting game. Genuinely, like as it stands right now, there's a handful of, like I say, indie fighting games, whatever. But if you ask me, not a single one of them has the potential to pop off to even become part of the big three in a sense, and never will because of how hard it is. And again, like these things, whatever. I'm probably one of the first ever to be aiming towards that AAA fighting game kind of sphere, and for good fucking reason. At the end of the day, most of them do is a passion, whatever, and they kind of stay within this thing. Like I said, especially they go into the niche out. They don't care. Or whatever, they know the core, like, oh, the depth, and they just focus, oh, I just want this niche anime fighting game, but with this mechanic, and I'm gonna get rid of this, you know. Literally, they're all just making, again, like I said, at the end of the day, Street Fighter, most fighting games are just copy and paste versions of Street Fighter 2 with a unique gimmick. And now other indie fighting games, I feel like, whatever, you know, oh, so this anime game is a derivative of Street Fighter, like, oh, what if Street Fighter, but we did this, and you could do this with combos, oh, and it's a bit faster, oh, and you can air block. And in air dashing works this way, and then that's it. Okay, you get that under 90 Birth or some bullshit, or under Street Fighter 2 Birth or some bullshit. And then like, okay, I like that, but I'm gonna make my version of that. And you start making a niche of a niche, and you're never gonna appeal to the mainstream because you're completely missing the point when most people like fighting games. You know, you get too lost in the sauce. And on top of it, these teams are small as fuck, further emphasizing good luck finding. You know, and these people really love their individuality. They don't give a shit about. Shout out to indie ones. They don't fuck with that stupid shitty DLC. So you as a company. Yeah, good luck finding anyone. Most of the people are either locked with these fighting game companies. A lot of them retired already. A lot of veteran ones. And a lot of them, the new gen ones, even, let's say, millennials from around my age bracket, they wouldn't know how to make a fighting game if they tried. Like, hell no. Fuck no. Like, I would say it's already hard finding a developer, let alone a fighting game developer, bro. That's like... That's 0.1. That is 0.1% of developers, in a sense. Good luck finding that shit. Or heck, you know what? Fuck it, just 0.1% of gamers, really. But yeah, with that being said, that's all I got. I went into a mini tangent there at the end. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I think they do. It is just weird. Toka, I mean, at the end of the day, Arts and Arcs, it's kind of their thing. You know, if it's companies like, it is kind of their thing. At the end of the day, it's because the people who work it, they kind of want to make the game they do. And the higher ups are like, man, we can pay these guys fucking ramen noodle budget and they'll give us a godlike fighting game. At this point, they're so experienced, it's easier for them too. It's actually, for companies like Arxis, I argue, it's cheaper for them because, like, dude, they're still paying them shit wage. It'd have them making godlike things like the animations from Strive, right? Granted, Strive, I think, is a shit-ass fucking fighting game at this point. But the way it looks is like, dude, I'd argue Guilty Gear Strive's one of the best looking fucking games on PS5, period. It's actually immaculate what they did. Even Tekken. The Tekken team. I mean, yeah, no, all three of them. But to me, I personally find Tekken and Guilty Gear more impressive for what they did do. Because SF5, they hired a lot of external people. And like I said, for Tekken 7, they had a lot of younger developers. And they got the hang of Unreal. And you saw them really get the hang of it with Tekken 8. And honestly, I'd say it's one of the more impressive Unreal Engine 5 games. I think it is in 5. Still not perfect. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just because, oh, UE5, right? And, you know, I think more Bandai Namco trying to push certain features and maybe the dev team getting more ambitious. But regardless, you know, at the cost of gameplay. But yeah, that's all my thoughts. Yeah, I don't understand why a lot of companies make... I mean, at this point, it's not like a lot... I mean, heck, look, if we look back in the 80s, or my bad, 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s, like, no, dude, they were really, really, like... Dude, there was, like, every company and their mother was trying to make a fighting game. At that point, it was because it was a trend, you know? But now it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, because these the whole Twitch tail thing, that's way before, right? And they're gonna fail. We already seen it. Talcon is cucking them. But yeah, right now it's genuinely not profitable. Like, I mean, you already see me. I don't have absolutely no interest in none of these fighting games. And you know, if you're like a veteran FGC player, dude, how many of us? A lot of us have kind of not left the FGC, but are kind of just in hiatus. And just because we've seen they're not moving the needle forward. Street Fighter 6 moved it the most, and its problem is has a huge input issue, like showing that right now the FGC is stagnant, and we need a new direction because now. The general FGC, especially, and the biggest two ones, right? Veterans and normies are like, nah, we need something fresh. And I'm hopefully here to fill that gap. Give me like 2 or 4 years, you know. Hopefully I'll do okay. But with that being said, remember, don't subscribe. And remember, every day is great when we're kicking.